so cool to show everybody that this is how the meat comes.
Yeah.
You can see I'm holding up, this is not a daunting, hulking thing of meat. This is not a cow.
It's 1 pound.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like I was saying before, if you had, 10 coworkers or 5 family members, it doesn't really matter. You can all chip in on this together. It's easy to distribute. You don't have to do anything. You just put it in your freezer, and it's such a small portion that, say it's a Sunday night, and tomorrow you want to make, beef burgers. Then just take this out Sunday night and, put it in the refrigerator to defrost it when you get home from work on Monday. Literally, all you need to do is make a couple of patties, and if you want to throw some seasonings, you can make hamburgers. And if you look at most traditional recipes for hamburgers and meatloafs, they'll call for fillers or binding agents like panko breadcrumbs or regular breadcrumbs or a piece of an old bread to bind it together. Really, all that does is take a small amount of meat and spread it out. So instead of a pound of meat making 2 8-ounce hamburgers, you can make 4 8-ounce things, but it's partly meat and partly filler.
Yep.
And so when people say, well, how am I going to make a hamburger or meatloaf or meatballs without these binding agents? It actually works just fine. If you wanted to, you could use an egg, but you don't need the flour.
And when there's so much good in life, it seems like we don't need to set aside space for filler. As my mom used to always say, and one other thing I wanted to mention to folks is when you start thinking about eating local, and you start thinking about focusing on food quality, and you start expanding your worldview of food, you might need to do things like we talk about order meat in the mail, which is a little bit atypical. But one thing that's cool is now the entire world is your grocery store, right? Like this meat came to us directly from the ranch in Missouri, just got delivered to us, and you can see, like, it's frozen solid, which is pretty awesome. And when you talk about focusing on quality, focusing on what is the best for you out there, there's this, it's not really a paradox, but we're saying eat natural things you find in nature, but we also have this wonderful technological age we live in. For example, the internet.
Yeah.
So even if you can't go walk down the road and buy some organic, humanely raised, grass-fed beef liver, that doesn't mean you can't eat beef liver.
Exactly.
Everyone is on an equal playing field here, thanks to the internet and thanks to things like mail order meats.
Right. And I think it's important too to clarify that we were talking about this earlier. Even if this ranch is, you said, from Missouri?
Missouri, yes.
So we're in Washington. So it's not next door, it's not down the street. So this meat has traveled a short distance.
Yep.
However, I think the balance is you're supporting a small rancher who's doing the right thing. He's raising his animals humanely. He's providing a very good, healthy, sustainable product to people. So I feel that outweighs the fact that it's traveled, I don't know, several hundred miles.
Absolutely.
But that's not to be confused with living in Seattle and deciding when you're out to dinner when you could have, say it's Copper River salmon season, and that's fresh and local. That's a better choice than barramundi that's come from New Zealand.
Absolutely.
So that's taken in context. You want to make sure it's local when it can be, but also balancing it out with making a humane choice. So I'd rather have this beef from Missouri, which was raised properly, treated humanely, than something that came from a ranch down the street that might have been raised on corn and hormones.
And it's all about progress, like you said. Now, where there's perfection, which is we go slaughter a cow in our backyard, and that minimizes. That's the next video. No, but there's also, when you think about the difference between here, we're going to eat some beef liver in a delicious fashion that came directly from a ranch where they feed cows nothing but grass, no hormones. Contrast that to the way most of us are put in a position to eat, right? The number of steps that take place, the number of processing plants this meat goes through, the number of middlemen that jack the price up. We're talking, this is like the highest quality meat you could ever buy, and this liver is sub $5 a pound.
Right.
This 90% lean premium ground is sub $10 a pound. So when you cut out all those middlemen,
and cut out all the junk. There's no reason not to do this.
you can save yourself and save a lot of money simultaneously.
Exactly.
Love it.